When you search up the definition of the word expression, this comes up. A look on someone's face that conveys a particular emotion. We use these expressions in everyday life to show how we feel in mostly the social settings we find ourselves in. Can suddenly set the mood of the situation and tell people what kind of things we like or don't like. See, there are 43 muscles in the face, all which have their own unique names that help produce certain expressions. The orbicularis oculi muscle is responsible for blinking the eye or closing of the eyelid. The procerus muscle allows to pull the skin in the eyebrows down, and so on. The face usually moves subconsciously as these maneuvers have become habitual to us. The person I think knows how to play expression well in the films is Jack Nicholson. Today I want to talk about how Nicholson uses his facial expressions to set the tone of the scene. I struggle to find any other actor that matches the tone of the take so well with his expressions. For the past few weeks, I have thoroughly paid attention to this man's film career, and there is no denying that the man can act. Not only can he act, but his facial muscle movements work so well in the scenes that he is not only conscious about the next word he must utter from his mouth, but he knows how to use his face as a canvas for expression at the same time. What's unique to me though is that he has found a way to trick the audience through the mastery of expressions. Let's break down the expression I think he's the master of, which is anger. See, anger can be expressed in many ways. Different types of anger affect people differently and can manifest to produce different actions and signs of anger. The most common signs of anger are both verbal and non-verbal. See, Nicholson's characters vary, and he always excels at them. He uses anger in his scenes as a doorway expression that has an underlining effect in his character's behavior.
I pull that henhouse shit now. When the vote the chief just voted, it was 10-9. Now I want that television set turned on right now!
Which masks the real emotion he is carrying at the time. The real emotion varies from resentment, frustration, fear, sadness, and so on. See, think of it like this. Hidden emotion plus the integration of scene equals to anger. Depending on the films we see of him and the backstory that's given, we can see what Nicholson's characters lack. What's interesting is that he does not approach anger in the way you and I think we would. Most of the time, it is a toned down anger that incrementally builds up and then releases itself in drastic ways. Nicholson meticulously relies on his face to produce the intensity of the scene first, and that's where it all begins. Although when the time is right, then he blows. The art of anger is carefully mastered by him. Take the scene from The Shining for example. Nicholson's character is resentful about how his wife will never forgive him for his past actions, and the accident that occurred with his child that involved Nicholson pulling his son's hand away from his office that resulted in dislocating the child's shoulder. Since the start of the scene, there is an underlying emotion which is resentment, which in this case of the equation is the hidden emotion, resentment towards his wife and his child. When integrated in the scene, anger comes out. He uses anger as a weapon to mask his true feelings to Lloyd, the bartender, and he does it so well. Look at his eyebrows. When you are angry, they become lowered and tied together. So does Nicholson's. The lowering of the eyebrows forms wrinkles on the forehead, just above his nose. Watch his eyes. Expression of anger usually correlates with the act of intense staring. The eyes are usually narrowed to produce an intense stare, which in this case frequently occurs towards Lloyd. Staring eyes are indicated by raised upper eyelids. Nicholson's nose can sometimes be seen getting expanded. The widening of the nostrils allows more air to enter the lungs, which results in more blood being oxygenated, which then results in more energy being produced to carry out the strong erratic demeanor being portrayed by Nicholson. All these aspects occur when we get angry, and Nicholson does such a good job in portraying them.
You extra pounds of energy per second.
Or how about this scene from The Departed? Anger is again the forefront emotion, covering in this case the emotion of frustration. His character Frank is trying to insinuate that there is a mole in his business to Billy, DiCaprio's character. He suspects that DiCaprio himself might be the rat.
I got this rat, this gnawing, key-eating fucking rat.
What's interesting about this scene is not only the bizarre rat impression he showcases, but the clenching of his jaws. See, when we showcase a subtle force of anger, our jaws sometimes tend to get clenched for a moment, producing a transient effect on the cheeks. It's almost as if by clenching the jaws and pressing the teeth together, the person is symbolically biting his source of anger. In this case, Nicholson's jaw sometimes gets clenched. It's like any minute he is about to show some extreme force of aggression, leaving an ominous atmosphere. Yet it's suppressed so well that it flows smoothly throughout the entire scene. We all have anger. It has at some point made its way into our lives. We might get angry a lot, or we might not. Anger can be detrimental if we succumb to it on a daily basis. It can affect those around us, and that could break valuable relationships and make us into an individual that no one would like to be around. But it can also have positive effects. It can teach us imperative lessons about ourselves, our insecurities, insufficiencies, and what triggers us. With enough self-awareness, we can see what sets us off, whether it be the environment, people, or actions. What Jack Nicholson achieves is somewhat fascinating. See, his anger is expressed in many forms, not only one. It can be passive, open, and assertive. The fact that we now know that he is building a facade in front of the audience to mask his true emotions is obvious too, but it does not matter. Why? Because he just does it so well. He makes us believe that he is just angry, but there is more to it than meets the eye. This can tell us something about our lives. We feel an array of emotions daily, and we have learned to express them constantly. What's scary is that sometimes we fake these expressions, which prevents us from facing our real shadows. We have forced ourselves to put on a smile, just for social acceptance, although deep down there is fear lurking in the dark, of facing social exclusion, or a bully faking his own power by showing anger, but deep down he or she is just insecure. The cover-up of our real emotions by another expression is evident. Jack Nicholson, in my eyes, supports this idea in Hollywood, and has done so for over 50 years. This is a long time. Enough time to master expressions.
Here's Johnny.
Hey guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I had so much fun dissecting this one. Jack Nicholson is just such a good actor, and watching all of his films for the past 2 weeks was just mind-blowing. From One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest to The Shining, The Departed, it was just so interesting to see this man's film career. I mean, there's no denying that the man can act, but the way he uses anger as a forefront expression to mask his true feelings just was so interesting to see. This facade is clear, at least to me also, but I just thought it would be an amazing example to use Jack Nicholson in my video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. You can also see my videos soon, and thank you.